Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about salsa dancing shortcuts for beginners. I want to share with you 3 secrets that I think are key for learning how to dance salsa, especially if you're a beginner. So let's go right into them. Number 1 is you gotta believe you can learn. I know it sounds silly, but I have a lot of students of mine, a lot of people who I've taught in the past who think to themselves like, well, I can't learn because I don't have any talent. I have 2 left feet, or I don't think it's possible because somebody tried teaching me how to dance before and I just couldn't get it. So it must be my fault. It must be the fact that, I'll never be able to learn how to dance. So if that's you, if that's where you're at right now and you're thinking to yourself that you can't learn how to dance, just know that that's completely a lie. Everybody who I have taught at some point, or everybody that knows how to dance started out as a beginner, first of all. Second of all, I've taught thousands of beginners by now, and everybody has been able to learn. The only thing that is required is that you need to put in the time, you need to put in the work, and you need to practice, and you need to have a willingness to be able to do it, to want to do it. But if you have all those things, then you definitely are capable of learning how to dance. Everybody's capable of learning how to dance. I haven't seen any exceptions. This is 7 years now that I've been teaching. And so, anyway, that's the secret number 1. Also, just know that me personally, I'm a dance instructor. I've been teaching for over 7 years. I've been dancing for over 10. And when I first started, when I was young, I used to be completely 2 left feet, terrified of the dance floor. People tried teaching me and I was stuck. My grandma took me one day and she sat down. She's like, hey, if you want to become more sociable, more outgoing, you need to learn how to dance. And she taught me a couple of steps, and she played some music. She said, hey, follow what I'm doing. Feel the music. Shake your hips. Move your shoulders. Do the steps. Excuse me. And I'm extremely logical, and I need to know the formula for everything. And when she was telling me to feel it, I couldn't feel anything. I felt like I had 2 left feet. I couldn't get it. I got frustrated, and I told her, I'm like, this is stupid. Dancing is silly. What do I need to do this? And I couldn't get it. So that's where I come from. Many years later, I remember being in high school and watching these 2 kids at a party who were amazing salsa dancers, and girls would line up to dance with them. One of the kids saw me one day sitting down watching him. He came up to me and he's like, hey, you want to learn how to dance? I'll teach you the basics. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to learn the secret. Of course I want to learn how to dance. I want to have girls line up to dance at me like that. And he tried teaching me the basics, and I just couldn't get him. I couldn't do it. And I just remember thinking to myself, I don't have the gift for dance. I don't know if it's even possible for me to learn how to dance. I thought I just accepted the fact that the dancing talent I wasn't given any of it. So, and that's what I used to believe until eventually I found a dance instructor who was able to break things down, make things simple enough. That happened many years later, but I found out somebody who gave me a formula, he gave me a method to follow, and I was finally able to do it. And so, if you're in a position right now where you feel like you have 2 left feet, or somebody tried teaching you and you feel hopeless because you couldn't get it, just know that you probably didn't have a really good teacher. There is a difference between an amazing dancer, having a good dancer, and having a good teacher, or having somebody who's a really good dancer explain to you how to dance, and having somebody who's actually really good at teaching and breaking things down and making things simple so that anybody's able to get it. So those are 2 separate skills. So if you thought just because the person was really good at dancing and they tried teaching you and you couldn't get it, just don't assume that was your fault, okay? The secret number 2 is you gotta practice even if you don't have a dance partner. And what do I mean by that? When I first started out, I used to take lessons. And while that's awesome, you gotta go and take lessons at a dance studio. When you're out of the studio, that's where the majority of your learning is going to happen, because how many hours a week are you at the studio? A couple. So, and usually what happens is that you go to class, you're there, you're awesome, you learn the lessons while you were in class, you go home and then you forget everything. It's like the Men in Black, the flash thing that they hit you and you forget everything. That's exactly what happens. You go out and you forget everything that you learned in class. And so being here at the studio is great. You gotta take lessons. It'll give you the live feedback, immediate feedback that you need. It'll help you improve. But when you're at home, what I used to do when I first started is I used to watch these DVDs, kind of like this, like DVDs that the studio that I was at, they used to sell. These are not actual DVDs, by the way. There's nothing inside of them. This is a case for an online program that we have, Juana and I, that we make to help out beginners just like you learn to improve salsa in the fastest way possible. I'll tell you more about it in a second, but if you want to go and check that out, it's salsaninja.com. Anyway, I'll put also a link down below so you get to check that out. Going back to when I first started dancing, I used to watch these DVDs that I had from the school where I was learning. They had all the moves that they were teaching. They also had them in DVDs. And so I used to watch those over and over and over again. I probably watched those DVDs hundreds of times. And that's literally what I would study when I go home. I didn't have a partner, so I would just sit there by myself in my room and I would just like mimic dancing with somebody without anybody. And I would just practice that over and over again. Or sometimes I would just either watch the videos and not do anything. Just like really replay a section. If I didn't understand, I would just try and like memorize whatever they were showing and just watch it. And I can't tell you how much that helps. Like the result from me doing that is that I was progressing like 10 times faster than everybody else who started with me. I started running through the levels and I started learning really, really quickly because of those DVDs, because of the videos that I was watching, and because I was at home immersing myself in the material. I really wanted to learn really badly, guys. So I took whatever knowledge was out there and I absorbed it. And there was these DVDs, I saw them as a tool, and so I was watching them over and over and over again. And that's really how I learned. Yeah, going to class is awesome because you're here and you're with people and you're dancing and it's great and it's a social environment and it's a lot of fun. But if you really want to learn quickly, fast, the shortcut is watch a lot of videos. Watch a lot of, like what I used to do also, once I mastered those DVDs, I used to go over on YouTube and I would watch the best dancers in the world and I would sit there for hours just like looking and studying their technique. I wouldn't even have anybody to practice with. I would just like, again, I would mimic it there by myself. So just know that just because you don't have a partner, or just because you don't have a partner, doesn't mean that you can't still practice. The practice becomes a little bit different, but you still like gotta put in time so that you could get better. And that's the number one way I would recommend to get better, is just like watching the videos and immersing yourself in the content and practicing them by yourself, trying to understand what's going on. Because like, I don't know how it works, but the next class that you come in, you're a lot sharper, you're a lot better, and things just click faster. So that is the number one thing that I would suggest. Go watch a lot of videos and study. And the last secret, let me think, is that if you've tried learning before and you couldn't get it, like I said, is you gotta find yourself the right method. When I first started out as a teacher, I used to teach my students a certain way, and through them I learned what worked and what didn't. And the way I had learned is like, back in that school when I started, they got in my mind that it used to take 6 months for anybody to feel comfortable out on the dance floor. And that's what they used to preach. It's like, oh, it takes you a long time to get out and be comfortable on the dance floor. And so what would happen to me is that students wouldn't even make it that far. Whatever I was teaching them, we would go out to a salsa party and I had all my students when they would go out dancing, they would tell me, Herman, you know, I'm forgetting the moves. I'm forgetting what I need to do. I'm forgetting, like I sometimes even forget my basic steps. And I get overwhelmed and I feel frustrated because I feel like I'm taking these classes, yet I can't apply the knowledge what I'm learning here in class. I'm not progressing. And they would end up quitting. They would end up getting frustrated and quit. And so, you know, I thought like I was an amazing dance instructor, so I thought it was their fault. They weren't practicing enough. And so I used to blame my students, but eventually what ended up happening is that so many people like went through that cycle, like not learning and quitting, or feeling frustrating and quitting, that I sat down one day and I thought, like, what's the fastest way to get somebody to learn how to dance this, the salsa? And what if I only have a couple of classes to teach them? Like, how can I help somebody faster? And I sat down and wrote a list of all the moves that I was currently teaching to my students back then. And it was a long list of moves. And in that moment, it hit me. Like, there was no way my students were gonna memorize all of this. And so what I did was I just simplified that whole list, and I came up with something that I call now the 6-step formula, which is the only thing that I teach to my beginner students right now. It's a short list of 6 simple moves that anybody can learn and start dancing immediately. So if you, and then after I started teaching the 6-step formula to all my students, immediately I could see the fast results. I could see them getting confidence. I could see them being able to go out to a party and start dancing and not feel overwhelmed and confused, because what they had was a simple method that was easy to remember, and they were able to apply it immediately. Within just a couple of hours, they learned to dance and they were able to do it. So if you're in a position right now where you're struggling and you're thinking, like, how can I get better at dancing? This is the best way to learn. I mean, if you have 2 left feet, just know that it's possible. You gotta immerse yourself with the material. You gotta study, you gotta get better. Watch a lot of videos, watch a lot of training material, and like constantly taking classes is great because you're here, you get to practice with people and you get to see the instructor giving you live feedback. But then, like, find yourself the best method. That's secret number 3. Find yourself the best method to learn and follow that, because if you have somebody who could break things down, make things simple, easy for you to remember, and then you could study that, that's going to be how you're going to learn the fastest. Okay, guys? If you want to learn, we put together a course for beginners. It's called the Beginner Salsa Crash Course, where I run you through the 6-step formula. I want to give you a chance for you to learn that so that you can learn the fastest way possible. If you're interested, that's the way I'm stumbling here with my words. If you're interested, I'll put the link down below so you could get a chance to look at that. It'll take you to this page where you can put in your email and send you this training course that we made, and see if you like it, okay? If this video helped you out, leave it a thumbs up. Share with somebody who's learning to dance salsa, who you feel that they feel they're stuck. Somebody who you want to see improve really quickly. If you enjoyed it, if this gave you a lot of value, subscribe here to this channel, Salsa Ninjas, and then keep in touch. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening.